Actually, no, it is February 10th. February
Okay.
10th, I put here Easy Flip Zoom Casa, KW Concierge. Yep.
Putting a note here.
I think it'll be very informative for all of us on this call and to understand their program and, the opportunity.
Regarding that program, so many who met up with all of us, we have a team leader meeting like once a week with a bunch of team leaders from around LA. And Manny is a huge fan of it. He's like, all of you guys, one of the goals I want you guys to all, because we had a goal setting retreat thing for 2022. And he said, all of you should have at least 2 flips as one of your goals for 2022. So clearly he's a big fan and therefore he's pretty smart. So I trust him. That's awesome though. Thanks, Ray. You're awesome, man. Thank you for setting that up.
No problem.
Anybody else? So Steph.
Yeah. Ed?
David, go ahead. What you got?
Listen, I wasn't in the meeting last week, and last night I couldn't sleep, so I watched the replay. And one thing I noticed that I want to really bring up and make a comment on that, and what Ray said was a good segue to the comment that I'm trying to make. We have to distinguish between flipping and investing, because they're two completely different things. They're not the same. Flipping is not investing. It's actually a business in many ways. The timing, and the biggest thing has to do with taxation of that. So you have to consider those two separate things, not as one. To me, flipping is just a business, not investing. That's all I have to say about that.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, that's a great comment. And we're going to get more into flipping and later in this book. Gary goes into more detail around that. But yeah, that's I love that way of looking at it, because it's not, you're right. You're not building up a portfolio of, flip property is something you own for hopefully less than 6 months. And it's something that should produce, it's a business that should produce a profit in that time period. So I love that. That's a great way of looking at it. I love that, David. Anybody else? All right, quick show of hands. Who's been tracking their net worth? I just want to how's that been going for everybody? Who has not been turning in your homework?
Who doesn't have a net worth?
Hey, you can track a negative net worth. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's right. 0 plus 0 is?
I'll say it makes me conscious about a lot more things. Like even just like my premium Spotify that I canceled, that's an extra $10 a month now. So now, I mean, it's only $120, but that pretty much pays for my whole gas bill the whole year.
Right.
That's really cool. I will say that one thing that's occurring for me is that as we read through, remember how when you talk about the mindset part, he says like, when you start tracking your net worth monthly, your mindset will shift, and you'll start to be looking for, like, throughout the month, you're like looking for how can I find more money to invest? And that's been happening with me. It's been really neat. So that's something in me. Anybody else comments? Anybody?
Hey, Ray, there are 2 ways to get to 0, upwards or downwards. So you're on the right track. You're going upwards.
Wait. How about side to side? That's it, right? No, listen, and honestly, I mean, Ed, you mentioned many times too, as far as, cutting certain costs on a monthly basis. I mean, I've done that with our Spectrum cable. There was extra channels that we didn't need, in terms of like HBO, Showtime, and that brought our Spectrum total bill to about $200 from like $250, $245 actually. Even though my wife subscribes to Disney Plus and Hulu and other stuff that she did on her own. So it's like we have all these cable channels and entertainment channels for our kids. But like I said, we dropped it from about $245 to $200. So that's a savings right there. And it's a whole bundled package. I mean, not just the cable, but the landline, We have high-speed internet. And they even said if we drop our phone line, we could even drop it all the way down to like 160 or 175, somewhere around there. But the fact of the matter, we need we need the landline for in case of emergency, where if my boys want to pick up the phone or what have you. And it's
Yeah.
also tied to our home alarm system as well, our ADT alarm system. So, but there's a savings right there.
Thanks for bringing that up, Ray. That's awesome. And while we're at it, this just happened to me. It's just, I'm pointing this out in case this pertains to any of you guys. Rebecca and I have had a plan with Verizon for, I don't know, like a million years. Like we've had the same plan with Verizon. I mean, literally decades. It's been, been a long time. And we needed to add my daughter. And then while we're at it, we're like, oh, well, let's add my son too. And let's get them all on phone line. So that way, like for safety reasons, when it's, school stuff. So we go in there and we're like shopping around or whatever. And suddenly I'm realizing like, wait a minute, like we're getting ripped off right now. We added we got lines for both of them. We added them on and we were paying less than we were, than it was just my wife and I. So go riddle me that, right? I don't know, but I thought that was interesting. And so, it reminds me of like, hey, you should go through your bills every once in a while and like make sure you're getting deals on everything that you're paying for. One other thing I'll say too, and then we'll get into some like some juicy stuff, because Eric and I have some cool stuff to share. One other thing is that, so right now I'm part of what's got me all jazzed is that I'm saving up, we're saving up to buy a house, our first investment property in a while. And a lot of you guys know, like we've been putting money in a pretty basic S&P 500 index fund. And it's been a little disheartening. You guys, is everybody getting an Amber Alert?
Not me.
Not me.
Yeah, you need to change. You need to change your cell phone service right away.
There was like 10 phones and iPads. There's like 10 phones and iPads in my house that were all beeping at the same time. But yeah, so we're saving up to buy a house, and some of you guys may be experiencing this too, where we've been putting money away, and I know they say like if you're going to be taking money out soon, you probably shouldn't have it in the stock market, but I don't care. I wanted to play the odds, and it's been disheartening. As I'm saving up money, the getting whacked in the stock market has taken away about 10% of the value that was there. So a little disheartening, and it takes a little of the fun out of investing when you're putting money away into this fund, and meanwhile it's shrinking at the same time. So I don't know if anyone else is experiencing that, but I have to remind myself that no, I'm doing the right thing, even though that's part of the deal, is that you're going to have down months, down weeks, down whatever, right? Anybody else experiencing anything like that?
I am. I look at it every single day. It's I still have a little bit of money in the savings account, but I pretty much use my stocks as a backup savings. So it's disheartening to see like a whole month's rent or a whole month of bills combined just down in like a week.
Yeah.
So have you guys considered using that money to buy real estate until the inflation changes?
Yeah, I'm only parked there only because I'm trying to save up money to buy real estate. I don't have enough money to buy something right now. That's the only reason why I have anything, I'll always have a little bit, you want cash reserves and stuff, and I would keep that there. But
so you're not trying to grow it there. You're just trying to retain it so that you can buy real estate.
Yeah, I'm trying to grow it there temporarily until I have enough money to buy some real estate. That's my how about you, Eric, and whoever else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, one day I'll be able to buy real estate with it. Not so much today. Just using it as like, it actually, no matter how bad it gets, it still returns more than my savings account interest. So I'm using this as well.
Make a small tower like this.
Anybody else want?
You can put it anywhere.
And the youngest investor in
So we
this.
have enough space for the other
So
light.
buy ice cream with all of it.
Leaky Mike.
I'll chime in. As far as I'm concerned, I have a stock portfolio. that about 80% of it is tied up in retirement funds. So, I mean, that's the 20% I could play with. Kind of learned from my dad that when it comes to investing in stocks is a buy and hold approach. And so I got some heavy hitting stocks like Tesla and Netflix, but I won't ever sell those. I'm holding those to a long run. So I guess what I'm saying is mine's more tied in retirement and yeah, there's been the downturn in the market. So, you know, I just have to kind of ride it out.
Ray, you should be really happy today with those two.
Did it go back up? Because as of yesterday, I wasn't happy. And I said to myself, I'm not going to look at it because otherwise I would have to get a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
You know.
Bill Ackerman bought stock in Netflix today, and I'll let you look, but you should be really happy.
Okay, I'll look at it then.
All right, guys, this is really good stuff. Let's move on. Eric Bailey and I have an actual real world example. We actually just got off the phone about an hour ago with an investor client who we've shared together. We've done another deal with them previously. They bought a condo unit in this complex in Santa Monica, and this other one right next door came up for sale, and he's debating purchasing it. And so we were, you know, we started going into analyzing it as an investment. So I figured let's all have some fun and let's look at this property and see what do we all think of this as an actual investment. Now he's holding it for some other reasons. He might use it as a pied a terre. So he's got some other uses for it besides just a rental property, but let's look at it as if it was just a rental property and see what we think. So let me pull it up on the MLS first. Okay, hold on. So the property is this one here. 2721 2nd Street, Unit 108 in Santa Monica, listed for $688. It's been on the market for 17 days. This is a little 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo, super in a nice building, well kept. It's got a parking spot, secure building, one parking spot underneath. It has a lot of amenities, pool, sauna, gym, etc. HOA is pretty steep at it's average at $420 per month. Medium-sized building with 37 units. Agents only offering 2%, so that's annoying, but whatever, that's all good. Let's look at some pictures of it. Not the best pictures. It is kind of dated. Here's the kitchen. Your average hardwood floors. And then here's the dated bathroom that looks, I would say, circa 1985. Actually more like 1990. Pool area. Okay. So, and it's listed for $688. Okay, so let's look at what do we know this. Let's start crunching some numbers on here. So here, let me stop there. Let me share so here's our actual Excel spreadsheet. I've started filling it out. And again, he's thinking about paying 100% cash on it. So hopefully you guys can see this okay. Here's what I've got crunched in here so far. Because it's been on the market for 17 days, I'm hoping that maybe we can get it for a bit lower at say 675, which would be.
Hey, Ed, I talked to the agent. He says 670 could be a starting point.
670. All right, so let's put 670 in there. Really, that probably means we're going to end up at 670. Let's leave it 675 because that's probably what they're talking about ending up at least, if not 680. But here, we'll say 675. Really, we're saying 100% down. Finance rate doesn't really matter. It's going to be about $60,000 to get this place ready to rent between new kitchen, new bath, and some new flooring and stuff. Looking at 60 or 70,000, somewhere right in there. So that's about right. We calculated rent. Did we say $3,000 a month, Eric?
I put 32 because that's where he's going to want to go. Because that was his end number.
Yeah. Okay, so there you go. And we're saying that because his son lives in the next door unit, that his son can take care of all the property management and leasing costs, find the tenant. I think his son's pretty capable. I think his son could take that on, which would save him money there. We're saying save $1,000. Hold on. We don't need $1,000 a month because it's just, we don't need that. No money so no leasing costs, no property management fees, no maintenance reserve. What do you think? What do you guys think? Should we put in a maintenance reserve? If this was you, would you put a maintenance reserve in here? If they're going to renovate the kitchen, remember, if they renovate the kitchen and bath, they're going to have a 1-year warranty on all the appliances. So at least for the moment, they probably don't need anything, I would imagine, other than, a renter's policy. Everybody okay with that? Because of your silence, I'm assuming that means that everyone agrees wholeheartedly. Okay, so we're putting no maintenance reserve.
Agree.
No utilities, because again, the tenant's going to pay for all that. And with that location, I'm doing 0% vacancy rate. I think you could rent that place out in 5 minutes if you wanted to. I think that place will never be vacant.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
insurance, it's not $241 a month. Remember, this is the HO6 insurance for the buildings already covered on the HOA. So you're looking at about maybe $400 a year for the insurance.
$400 for the year?
Yep.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And then HOA, the HOA is built in here, $420 a month. What am I missing here?
There is one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
How did you come up with that tax of $52.92?
I pulled that off of Zillow. How accurate? That can't be accurate. Hold on.
No, it's not. It's about $8,500.
Okay, thank you.
Because what you need to do is, because that's the current tax rate.
Yeah.
You need to base it on 1.25% of the purchase price. That's how much you're gonna be paying for it, not the old owner.
Cool. So I think this here, I think this covers, this is a pretty good analysis here. This should be fairly accurate. We've crunched enough numbers to know kind of this should be pretty accurate, right? So from his point of view, if he's putting all cash down, his ROI is going to be, so assuming that, okay, again, this assumes that appreciation rate of 4.4% a year, which actually, you know what, in that neighborhood, I think probably going to be a lot more than that. Even over time, I would say probably more like 6%, but let's leave it at the 20-year average and be conservative. Rent appreciation at 3.1%. Kind of hard to tell because it's in Santa Monica, the People's Republic of Santa Monica, which, rent control to the max, right? So I'll just leave it at that and let him figure that out. But here's what it looks like to him as an investor. Again, when you use the form, right? When you go to page, this here tells you how is this going to perform on year one. You should have a net cash flow of $24,460 for the year on your total investment of, where's my total of, you put in 735, remember, because you're buying the unit and then you're dumping $60,000 into fixing it up. So you're in for 735 and you're getting back 24,460 in year one. And then it's going to go up from there because of rent appreciation, not taking into account rent control. So here's what you're looking at based on those numbers of what does the ROI look like. So if you include the appreciation at that, probably very conservative rate, your total ROI annually is going to be about 7%, 8% year two, 9%. What is that, year five-ish? And it goes up slightly from there. And then, you get to around 23% over time. That's your annual ROI. Your cash on cash is like, from his point of view, now this makes a lot more sense when you're using a mortgage, but this is like, I'm putting in $735,000 and I'm getting out 24,460. That is literally a return. If we're just looking at cash and not taking into account appreciation, that's a 3% return on my cash. I have this much cash I put in, I get this much cash out. That's a 3% return on your investment. But when you factor in everything else, your total return on equity after cost of sales, that's on equity, your total return is 7%. Now he's doing it. This guy is he's like what do you call it? Money management account, right? Is that right, Eric? If I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So for him, I clearly imagine he's got a lot of money, elsewhere. And this is like for him, a way to diversify and get some real estate holdings along with his, probably substantial cash holdings and stock portfolio and all that kind of stuff, which I imagine when the market is how it's been lately, that's probably part of what's motivating him. I imagine, he's probably looking at a place to get out of the way of as an inflation, a hedge against inflation and a hedge against the stock market for the next 5-10 years, right? So, what do we think of this? Anybody have comments on, this as an investment?
So Ed, let me ask you a question here. I get the all cash deal, but wouldn't it be smarter to finance it so you can kind of diversify your other investments?
So that is the question I've got for you guys, because my thought is, even though rates have gone up some, they're still, so let's look at this. All right, hold on. I'm going to copy this file. Let's look at it side by side. Whether you this is gonna be fun. Let's compare it side by side. So I'm going to copy this file. Duplicate copy. What am I doing? I guess I have to save it as something else. Hold on. All right, hold on. Give me 1 second here. The file save.
Does it show you the percentage of return you get on that sheet?
Yes, 2 ways. So here, let me show you again. There's a few things. It depends on the investor. Different people like it looking at different numbers. Some people like looking at cap rate, and that's calculated for you down here. This is a 3.62% cap rate. Your cash on cash is 3%. When you factor in appreciation, it's 7%.
So essentially, like that money that you would put in. So you're saying if it's all cash, if you could put it somewhere else and get 10%, that would make more sense. But you're making what, 6%, the cash on cash?
So
So-
if you factor in all of it, you're making 7%. If you want to include
7%.
Appreciation, which I think that's a proper way to look at. I mean, that's how I would look at it. Some investors don't worry about appreciation. They're like, that's gravy. I just want cash on cash. There's some people who are like that. They're like, I just want cash flow. I don't care about appreciation. I mean, I care about appreciation, but that's what my kids are going to inherit. My concern is I just want to increase cash flow.
Well, if your money is sitting in the stock market and there's all that uncertainty, maybe that's how you, like you say, you hedge against that that potential, craziness there. And obviously, if you put it in the bank, you're not going to do that well. We're not sure about the stock market, so maybe it is a good decision. But to that gentleman's point, you could also break it up and maybe buy multiple properties. Who knows?
So let's do this. I'm gonna.
Oh,
one thing I want to look at is I want to compare. How does this compare if we were to finance it, right? And again, it's just all to Camilla's point. It's all about, where else could you put the money right now, and where else could you make more than 6% or whatever it is, or 7% ROI?
I think it depends on the purpose, right? If you're trying to cash flow,
Yeah.
as opposed to you're just looking for your money to make money over time, really depends on the goal.
Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin?
Okay, hold on one second, guys. I'm gonna do something here.
Maybe cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is alternative, maybe?
Not me, man. I'm not a fan of that, but I mean, some people are fine with that, not me. You know, are you just pulling my chain?
Yeah, I'm just kidding. It's monopoly money, right?
Oh, man. Look, man, I know other people will make tons of money doing crypto, but the universe has made it abundantly clear to me that I'm never going to make money at stuff like that. Like, that's just my belief. That's more of a spiritual belief than a financial belief, is that I'm never going to make money and stuff like that. To me, it's like buying lottery tickets. The universe has told me I'm never going to make money gambling or in the stock market. I mean, in crypto or anything like that. Okay. So hopefully you guys are seeing both of these side by side, right? Are you guys seeing that?
Yes.
Wait, hold on a second here. All right. Okay, so let's have some fun here and let's see what happens if we, instead of paying 100% down, what happens if we put 25% down? Anybody know what is the current interest rate now for an investor? Say I have, sorry, I have a lot of ambient noise going on. I had to close some windows. Okay, anybody know what is the current interest rate on a 30-year fixed if I'm an investor with 800 credit score?
Do not know.
3335. I don't know. I'm guessing.
David, do you know? I don't know if David's still with us.
I would just go based on 3.5 right now.
Okay. Let's go on 3.5. I think that's a fair bet. I think if you have 800 credit and you know some people, I think you could get 3.5. I'm with you guys. Okay, so this is what if we have a 3.5, this is what it looks like, right? So we would be losing $2,800 a year in cash flow, at least from year one. I don't like that. So let's put down 30%. Let's even more. That's not going to be enough. Let's say 40%. All right. So let's look at what if you put down 40% down and finance 60% of this property, meaning your mortgage is going to be amount financed is 405 and you're putting down 270 and then investing another 60 into fixing the place up.
And
So
the cap rate is the same, exactly?
Cap rate is the same. Cap rate is not affected by the financing.
Okay.
His cap rate is C37, which is net operating income divided by the value of the
Purchase
property.
price.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So, but where things get different, you know, obviously that you're getting more cash. The way to really, if you want to analyze this as an investor, I believe, and let me give you my opinion, and then you guys chime in. And we're going to learn more about this as we read the book, because they're going to go into, like, the next few chapters are all about like how to use this form, how do you, like, what numbers should you look at, what are benchmarks should you be trying to hit. We're going to get into all that, but I'll give you my 2 cents for the moment, and then you guys correct me because I might, you know, you may have difference of opinion here. So on the left we have. On the left, we've got 100%. All right, hold on. Someone's got to check. There we go. All right. Hold on. Where's my screen? Desktop. There we go. Okay, back here. So remember on the left, this was this column here, V. This is our ROI annually if we were to pay cash for the whole thing. Check this out. If we were to finance it, our ROI jumps to 12%. I don't know why you wouldn't finance it. I don't know. David, is there any reason why you would, like, I guess some people are hedging against taxes or for reasons like that. Is that why some people wouldn't why would anyone not finance it? Anyone know? I don't know.
There are so many different interests. For example, some people, they just want to be safe. They think that if they put the money into the whole thing into real estate, and that way they don't have to worry about anything else moving. There's no other moving part except the value of the property. But generally, one of the premises of investing in real estate is you're able to leverage. And the true investor never ever go full cash. They always leverage, because that's as you see, the difference between the ROI on the cash and ROI on the financing is completely different. And you think 5% is not that much, but if you look at later years,
Yeah.
see, it's a huge difference.
So let's have some fun with this. David, you're absolutely right. So let's look at, remember, the bottom of this chart here is what happens if you own this property for 30 years, which but let's just look at your accumulated total return. That's column AB. This means like after COS means after cost of sales. So I wait 30 years and I sell this property after 30 years. This is how much I have the total amount I have made off of this investment over the course of 30 years. Here it's 28, 34, 46. Here, if I financed it, oh, now this is interesting. It's actually less over the long haul. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
That's on your money that you paid. Take a look at that ROI return, the next column.
Oh yeah, so this is your total ROI.
Remember that if you put 25%, if you can multiply that, that means that if you do that.
Oh, because it's not, yeah. So here's your accumulated total return. So yes, you're going to make more if you put it all down, but you also had to put twice as much, 3 times as much down. You could have bought a whole nother property for the same amount and doubled. You could have bought 2 of these with the same amount of money and doubled the total return. So this is the total return percentage amount right here, right? 386% of what your initial investment was. Here you made 783% of your initial. You doubled your money over the course of time. That's insane. Like, why would you not do that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's some people and reasons why. For myself, I believe that, and this may change as we read the book, but I've always thought finances, especially when rates are as low as they are, as long as the rate is lower than what you expect to get in appreciation, finance the hell out of it, as long as you're cash flow positive, because no one likes to own a property that you're constantly dumping money into year after year. That's even if, yeah.
I think David's right. I mean, as far as what the objective of the investor would be, or investors, I should say. But the question is, what investor is going to hold on to in the long term for 30 years?
Even if not, let's look at, okay, what happens if you hold it for 10 years, right? Which is this line right here, 13.
Yeah, let's see the numbers of the total ROI.
So if you finance it, you're going to make 136% of your investment.
Yeah.
Right? Because you put in, hold on, where is it in? Your amount in is like, total cash in was 330, and you're walking away with 448 afterwards, which is 135%,
Return.
136% return on your investment.
And if you go to all cash on the 10-year mark,
all cash, your total amount in was, where's that? 735, column T. You make 78% after 10 years. I mean, I don't know, every way you slice it and dice it, you're going to come across, unless you're planning on selling it after 1 year, but almost immediately it's better off to finance it.
Yeah.
I think this is such a great example. And you can, by the way, I've done this with investors before. It's been a few years, but I've done this with people where I've pulled up on the screen, both of them side by side, and was like, look, we can finance it. You can pay cash. You know, I'll support you either way. my job is to get you the cheapest, but let me show you how this will perform over time. And you know, when you show people these kind of numbers, you're like, over the course of time, you're going to make, for like on this one here, what you put in, what was it, 330, right? For $330,000 over the course of 10 years, you're going to make $448,000 of return of, you know, you're going to get that money back plus an additional 448. You hold on to it for 20 years, you're going to make $1.3 million on top of your initial $330,000 investment. And when people see that, that's when people see like, oh, this is how people create generational wealth. This is what we're talking about in this class, is this is how you build wealth over the course of time. David, go ahead.
Yeah, there's one more thing that that we're overlooking is that the difference between the 735 and 330, that's another, how much is that? Is that about $405,000?
Yeah.
That's opportunity loss that you could have made a lot more on that. So it's actually, it's not 135%. So
Yeah.
if you go into another property or two other properties, you can actually triple or quadruple your money.
I mean, put it this way, you could buy another unit exactly like this. Because remember what we said, this one, the total cash in was 735 if you're going to pay cash, and otherwise you're paying 330. So that's, you could at least buy a whole nother one of these and still have cash left over. So instead of making 2834, you can make at least double this, which is 5.16 million, right? Instead of 2.8. I mean, and again, that's, you still have, what is that? 336.60, $75,000 left over that goes towards another property too.
And not only that, you're a little bit lighter on your feet if you do have to liquidate.
Yep.
Because you need the money. You don't have to, you can liquidate a smaller property or one of your 10 as opposed to the one that you spent all the money on.
Or just by financing it, you know, you could, let's say, you know, instead of spending 735, perfect, Camille, instead of spending 735, you could buy two of these and still have $75,000 left over sitting in the bank to kind of protect you from somebody needs a new roof, somebody needs a whatever. You've got some cash on the sidelines to handle stuff that comes up.
Yes.
We can buy Tesla stock.
and you could buy 75,000 Clayton Kershaw signed baseballs.
That's why when I play blackjack, I play two hands. Instead of one.
Diversify, my friend.
Sometimes even three hands, David.
I think
But that's only $20, $25 a hand though.
I don't know about you guys, but that was, I kind of needed to do that. I hadn't done that in a long time, of like pull them up side by side and comparing cash versus, and I will put both of these, I'll put both of these on the Facebook chat, on the Facebook place. Yeah, this is really good stuff. While I've got this stuff here, anybody want to, you know, have any questions about it or?
Well, I'm talking from my experience, and I believe we spoke to Ray about this. He asked me about it, and that's only my opinion. It's not a fact. It's just my opinion. If you're looking for investment properties, I try to stay away from properties that they have HOAs. I'm not a fan of them, especially when it comes to HOA. You want to do certain things you can't do, and there's certain there's so much limitations that you can't really do anything about your property. So yeah, that's one of the things that I really consider when I'm trying to invest.
Hey, that's really cool. Hey, David, let's do this. Let's for fun, while we've got these both here, let's just do something really fun here. So let me go back here to comparing them side by side.
And not to mention too, just real quick, is the appreciation on a single family residence obviously is more than a condo and townhouse overall.
True. Yeah, they tend to appreciate better as well. But so let's do this. Let's say, okay, we're gonna put 40. We're gonna finance them the same. I'm gonna make these the exact same. Hold on. So 40% finance, 3.5%. Okay, so I made them. Let's say these are both financed, right? Let's take the HOA out of here. just that alone. First of all, look what that does to your cash. So instead of buying a $675,000 condo, you bought a $675,000 single family home in Hawthorne or Torrance, or, you know, maybe in Carson, right? You can still get a house in Carson for 675, right?
But you
Just
still
like-
have to adjust the insurance and you still have to adjust the maintenance because HOA covers some of the stuff. But I was more thinking about the freedom that you have, that you can do
Yeah.
certain things within your non-HOA as opposed to HOA. So that was the major thing that I'm concerned about.
So for fun, we still got some time. Let's calculate this out. Let's say this was a single family home in Hawthorne or someplace, right? What numbers, how can we change these numbers to make them, so we're comparing apples to apples so we can see what, maintenance reserve, how much should we put away for maintenance? Say $1,000 a year? Is that, how does everybody feel about that? All right, I'll go with 1,000 a year. That should cover a substantial amount. Utilities, you should, let's say we still don't need to pay utilities. The tenant's gonna pay for everything. Although we probably gonna have to pay for some lawn care, right? And what's the going rate for something like that? Anyone want to take a guess? I don't know those numbers.
What, like gardening, landscaping?
What do you need to, if you owned a single family home and you were renting it out, what do you need to pay for as a landlord?
Let's just say 50 bucks a month, 75 bucks a month. I mean, it depends on your. How
Because
much garden.
usually it's the landlord that pays for some gardening, right? And some of that stuff.
Yeah, so let's just say 50 a month.
Okay, so we got 600 a year. Insurance, David, do you have an idea of what that insurance would be for a single family home?
Let's just go with like 1,500. That's as of last year. I don't know what's gonna happen this year. There's one more thing that I think that you have to consider. If you are buying a single family home, most likely the rent you're gonna get is much higher than that 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, for fun, let me go to Rent-O-Meter. And let's say Hawthorne. Let's say we've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Let's just say two bedroom, right? If you're getting a 675, it's probably about a 2-bedroom place. Say about 1,500 square feet to 2,000, somewhere in there. Like a smaller house is probably what you'd get for that price.
I think you need under address, Ed. I think you put
Oh,
Hawthorne, the
you're right.
city. You got to
Yeah.
put that. So you got, let me see if I have an address for Hawthorne. Yeah, I do have an address for Hawthorne if you want.
Yeah, give me one.
This one is 11961. 11961 Eucalyptus Avenue. E like Eddie, UCALYPTUS. There you go. 90250 or whatever.
Hold on, house.
It's about the same.
Why am I not,
Do you have to sign up for a free trial?
hold on.
Oh, no.
Anyways, I could go on Zillow and whatever. What, anybody want to take a guess what a rental in Hawthorne will rent for?
3,000, 3,500? No, is that too high?
We're just gonna do this right. All right, let me find. So here's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. Let's say this one right here. This is the house I'm buying. Relatively the same price.
Oh, right there.
Did I pass it?
No, it's right, estimated monthly costs.
Rental value,
Right.
3,200 a month.
Okay, so I said
It's about-
3,500.
So it's about the same for this particular property, because the other one was right by the beach. So, all right. So nevertheless, if we've done our numbers correct, I mean, your cash flow, $2,600 a month versus 5,000 a month with the single family home. Let's look over time, right? You own the property for 30 years. This one gives you a net ROI of 783%. This one's 815. So not a huge difference there, but still it's, what does that mean in terms of money? I guess it's relatively. I'll be honest with you. I think I got to go back and I got to re-download this. I think somewhere I messed up the numbers. They're getting all messed up somewhere. All right. Anyways. All right. I'll try to fix that for next time. I'll grab a fresh copy off of Keller Inc.
I think it's conclusive that financing is the way to go.
For sure. I mean, that's I think a no-brainer. Now, if it's gonna make the difference between cash flow negative or cash flow positive, that's one thing. But if it also, I guess to be fair, we also are basing it off of today's interest rates, which are really low. If interest rates were 8%, that could change the equation. But for right now, it's kind of a no-brainer with 3%, 3.5%, 4% financing. That's way lower than appreciation. So, any questions, you guys? Should we kind of wrap it up there? Any last comments or concerns about any of this stuff?
Nope, it's been great. Thank you.
Good learning.
Thanks, Camille. Anybody else? Comments? Lessons learned? Well, cool, guys. We'll wrap it up here. Tamara, maybe next week, if you could present, you were going to analyze a property. If you want my help with, by the way, feel free to reach out to me if you want me to look over any numbers or spreadsheets or anything. I'm happy to help out any way I can. And otherwise, hopefully you guys got it. By the way, we didn't go over the book, but you should be on, hopefully you guys have read up to page 218. I don't know, the part that we read. All right, we've got a couple minutes. I'll read this really quick. There's 5 laws of lead generation. One of which was never compromise. You're only looking for properties that meet your criteria and motivated sellers who will meet your terms. Meaning, you got to be patient and don't let up on being certain about what you want in your criteria. Be a shopper, not a buyer. It's better to miss a good one than buy a bad one. So don't be afraid of passing on an investment. It's much worse if you make a mistake and buy something that's bad. He also says timing matters. Be the first or last person to make an offer. It's a numbers game. The quality is in the quantity. You want to try to find lots of leads, not just a few. You want to have lots of properties to choose from. That's where you'll find here's one thing that I thought was really interesting. He said that beginning investors probably will have to look at 3 to 5 times as many properties as more experienced investors, which should mean approximately 90 to 150 properties before you find the one you want. 90 to 150 on average is what he's recommending before you find the one that you want to buy. And then the final thing he says is treat it like a business. It's about protecting your time and money by being systematic and organized. You don't want to just be one of these investors that just, they spend hours and hours. I've met some of these people like this, and by the way, be wary of this as a real estate professional as well. There's some people out there who watch Flip That House or whatever, and they will spend hours and hours and hours with you looking at no end in sight. So I've had one investor who was looking at 50 properties. Just tons of them. And at the end, I just realized that these guys they were never going to pull the trigger. They were looking for something that just didn't exist. So just be careful with that. As an investor and as, you want to protect your time. You want to know what you're looking for and be sharp about going about it and get it done. And that's it. Other than that, we'll continue more next week. Hopefully you guys are reading along and up on all that. Other than that, I'll see you guys all next week.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, Ed.
Bye, guys. That was a lot of fun.
All right.
I see y'all.
Thank you.